Come on in. Welcome to Idled Out, where we talk all things Survivor. My name is Luke, and today we're talking about which records can be broken on Survivor 50 as the first returnee season since Winners at War. And with 24 returning players, Survivor 50 is the first real opportunity for long-standing Survivor records to be broken, and some of them almost certainly will be. But what's on the table? Well, most every big Survivor record could be broken this season, encompassing everything from overall days played to individual immunity wins to times voted out, and everything in between. So let's talk about which records can be broken on Survivor 50. And after we've gone over the records that can be broken on Survivor 50, we'll close out with a wild Survivor record, which has already been broken by a member of the Survivor 50 cast the second they set foot in Fiji, and Jeff said go. And no, it's not Dragons Slain. Survivor records are fun, and I'm not just talking about my vinyl of Tidy Whities.
Tidy Whities, Tidy Whities, little boy.
Which Survivor records can the cast of Survivor 50 beat? Let's find out. The first Survivor record I want to talk about, which can be broken on Survivor 50, is cumulative days played. We're talking purely US Survivor for this video, so time spent on Australian Survivor doesn't count. The time Cochran made a cameo in Game Changers doesn't count. That time Rupert was a reward for some reason on Israeli Survivor does not count.
Wow.
We're just looking at time spent playing Survivor on United States Survivor, and I will be counting time spent on the Edge of Extinction and Redemption Island in this total, because those players were technically still playing Survivor, though I get that this is a fuzzy area for some. Unsurprisingly, the player with the current most days played on Survivor is Boston Rob, with 152 freaking days on Survivor across 5 seasons, and we aren't even counting the time he spent on Island of the Idols. 152 days is a long time to be on a desert island, and with the 26-day format of Survivor 50, can any players on the season top that? Are any players within spitting distance? Well, one of them. As of right now, Ozzy has 128 days played across his 4 seasons, so he would need to last to day 24 to tie Rob and day 25 to beat Rob, meaning Ozzy has to make it to at least Final 4 to earn the title. Can he do it? Theoretically, yes, but if I were putting money down, I would not bet on Ozzy to make it to the end. Last time Ozzy made the Final 4, he was voted out twice before in that same season. But stranger things have happened, like him being cast for a 5th time after giving us nothing in Game Changers. As for the rest of the cast, Cirie and Aubrey both have more than 100 days played, but are just out of mathematical reach of being able to beat Rob, and Colby and Coach are both holding steady at just under 100 days, but also obviously still out of reach. So the only way the total days played record is getting broken is by Ozzy, and the only way he breaks it is by making a very deep run. Now, let's look at a record which is arguably the reverse. The amount of times a player's been voted out. Francesca, it's your time to shine. The career vote-off record holder is actually on this season, and it's Ozzy again, with 5 vote-offs across his 4 seasons, which is actually insanely impressive considering he actually made Final Tribal Council in Survivor Cook Islands. Ozzy was voted out once in Micronesia, then 3 times in South Pacific thanks to his twin Redemption Island returns, and once more in Game Changers. Ozzy can extend this record by getting voted out again, which is a near certainty, so look to Ozzy to hold on to and actually extend his record. Okay, let's get away from Ozzy, something Bryce has never said. Let's talk about idols. Who's found the most career idols, and can anyone on 50 beat that record? Would it shock you to learn that Russell Hantz is the career idol GOAT? Yes, Russell holds the record for idol finds with a whopping 5 across his 3 seasons, but one of these Survivor 50 castaways is nipping at his heels. Rick Devens found 4 idols during Edge of Extinction, so if he finds just 1 more, he'll tie Russell's record, and if he finds 2, he'll eclipse Russell's record. But what about everyone else? Of this cast, Ozzy found 2 idols, and Coach, Chrissy, Angelina, Christian, Tiffany, Q, and Kyle all found or were given 1. So if any one of these players go absolutely idol crazy this season, they could tie or beat Russell's record. Though that is an extremely remote possibility, no matter how much I want Angelina to have an infinity gauntlet of idols this season. If anyone's taking this one, it's probably Devens. An idol is one way to save yourself, but what about individual immunity wins? Yes, just like Days Played, Boston Rob is the career immunity record holder with 9 immunity wins, and Ozzy is again right on his heels with 7. Also on the board are Colby with 5 and Chrissy and Rick with 4, but Ozzy is the only one realistically capable of beating Rob here. And with a ton of athletes and puzzle beasts on the board this season, I wouldn't be surprised to see the immunities pretty spread out in the post-merge. Though Ozzy could have a better chance of snagging this title if there are pre-merge individual immunities for players in a scenario where every tribe has to go to tribal council that night, or something. In that case, Ozzy's odds greatly increase. As far as immunity wins in a single season, Ozzy's already in a 6-way tie for first with 5, but someone joining the 5 immunity club is always on the table. Though again, with so many challenge competitors on this season, I'm not getting a sense that anyone is going to join that illustrious club. Next, let's look at some voting records. First, votes against. It's a dubious honor, but Andrea currently has the highest career votes against with 36 across her 3 seasons. And yeah, you guessed it, Ozzy is right on her tail with 34 career votes against. Once again, getting voted out 3 times in South Pacific is doing a lot of heavy lifting. 17 of his votes alone come from that single season. So Ozzy is almost certainly going to break Andrea's record unless something absolutely crazy happens, like a day 1 medevac or quit. Okay, but what about votes against in a single season? The record for most votes against in a single season is currently held by Laura in Survivor Blood vs. Water with 19 votes. Again, thanks to her return from Redemption Island. The closest player is, again, Ozzy with 17 in South Pacific, but Q also got 12 votes in Survivor 46, and Jenna got 11 in Borneo. Theoretically, this is up for grabs for anyone. With 24 players on the board, if there are any tribal pariahs who are constantly catching votes but narrowly escaping elimination, they could take it. Next, let's look at the players who voted out the most people. Rob and Parvati are tied for first with 27 people correctly voted out across their Survivor careers. Right behind are Russell and Amanda with 25 each. And in fifth with 24 is Suri. Suri only has to vote out 4 players to become the player who has correctly cast her vote for the most people who went home ever. And you know what? I think she's gonna do it. It's freaking Suri we're talking about. She deserves this. With 24 players, the single season vote off record is also in play, though this one seems pretty unlikely to be beaten to me. Natalie and Russell voted out 14 people in Samoa, literally voting correctly at every single tribal council they attended, and the only people they didn't vote out of the game were Mick, who sat next to them at Final Tribal Council, the 2 medical evacuees, and Yasmin, voted out at the only tribal council they did not attend this entire season. In second is actually Coach in South Pacific with 13 correct votes. Can anyone beat that in 50? They'd either have to attend and vote correctly in a lot of pre-merge tribals, or maybe attend a handful of pre-merge tribals and survive and vote correctly almost the entire post-merge. Not out of the realm of possibility, but this is going to be a hard one to beat. And I'd really only expect this to get eclipsed if we get like a strong 5 2.0 and they're just blindly picking off the minority alliance again, and votes are more or less telegraphed with few if any flips. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Finally, let's look at a Survivor record which has already been broken by a member of the cast of Survivor 50. Longest distance between seasons. Previously, this record was held by Amber and Ethan, who had an insane 32 seasons between their appearances on Survivor All-Stars Season 8 and Survivor Winners at War Season 40. The second that Jenna Lewis walked out onto the island in Survivor 50, however, she dwarfed their previous record with 42 seasons in between her appearance in Survivor All-Stars and her appearance on Survivor 50. Jenna's gonna hold on to this one for a long time, possibly forever. Unless, I don't know, maybe a 75-year-old Boston Rob will take it when he's on Survivor 100, Blood vs. Water 8, All Mariano edition, or something. But look to Jenna to hold on to this record for quite some time. There we have it, every notable Survivor record that the Survivor 50 cast can realistically break. Which records do you think are most likely to be broken? Which ones will not be broken at all? Let me know in the comments what records you hope are shattered in Survivor 50, and by who. On my way out, I'd like to shout out Survivor stats compiler True Dork Times, who is the ultimate authority on Survivor records. I pulled a lot of the numbers used in this video from his charts. His site is super fun to browse if you're a Survivor stats geek and is always up to date. Even back in the day, I remember looking at this site every single week and poring over the cast and all their details. And I'm going to tell you what, it embedded grizzled 1890s prospector into my lexicon forever. Damn! Got nothing else for ya. Let me know what Survivor records you think will get broken on Survivor 50, by who, and how. Until next time, don't get idled out.